So we were incredibly wrong about what that Kings Blue Jackets game looked like. We're going to talk about that, plus check in on the rain and our favorite short king, TJ Tynan, on today's episode of Locked On Los Angeles Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, you're listening to Locked On Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you all sorts of fun facts, weird trivia, things about your favorite hockey team and mine, the Los Angeles Kings. Today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. My name is Sarah Avampato, host of this show, and as always, super excited to be here talking to you about the Kings and joined, as usual, by Jay Foster, friend of the program, Mini Kings Monday contributor, and current sad Blue Jackets person to join the show today. So we're going to talk about the Kings Blue Jackets game that happened over the weekend that we were dreadfully wrong about, and then we'll check in on the Reign and see how their life is going since they just spent some time beating up on the Gulls, which I feel like is a great pastime. But let's start with that game, because if you missed our preview episode, we both took some predictions on how that game was going to go, and I have gone with my tried and true tactic of saying the Kings were going to lose because otherwise they blow it. And we both predicted what, like 4-3 overtime wins, both in Columbus's favor, and that's not what we got at all.
Every time I think these horrible children cannot possibly disappoint me more, they lose 2-1 to the Los Angeles Kings, who, in fairness, have been the better team for the bulk of the season. However, they have even more baby defensemen than the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
And they have not been very good defensively this season. So the fact that you only managed to score one goal against this LA Kings roster, which as far as I'm aware, is still literally just Matt Wright and children.
Yeah.
What the heck, guys?
Yeah.
To add insult to injury, one of the Kings murdered Patrick Laine in cold blood. So once I figure out who that was, I will be coming for them.
Yeah.
But just man, what a boring goddamn game.
I was expecting like much looser, much more chaotic. Like instead, the third period was just like a slog. Like the first period was exciting because that's when like most of the goals happened, at least for the Kings. Second period, obviously there was a little bit of life in Columbus, and they get on the board, and you're like, okay, one goal game, like third period, anything can happen. The shot count for the third period was 8 shots for each team. That's not thrilling.
I mean, technically nothing is still anything. Like anything did happen. Dustin Brown scored like a minute and a half into the game, and I was like, I see how this game is gonna go. And then both teams took that personally. I think.
And like Dustin, like that was it was not a very Dustin Brown goal, because a Dustin Brown goal is like, oops, it went off my butt. And this was a nice goal.
Like deliberate, he scored on purpose, which I'm not used to Dustin Brown doing. Just man, like I talked about this in so Sarah and I have like a group chat with some other chaotic hockey fans, and I was like looking at the playoff picture in the West, and I was like, I think my horrible blue children need to take one for the team tonight to, unite against the greater good and prevent Vegas from making the playoffs. So I guess I
I mean,
I
wish
thought it would
fulfilled.
be a fun loss instead of the
Right.
only goal was Sean Corrali scoring like a minute into the second period, which
Yeah.
like, hey, yay, Sean Corrali. And the Blue Jackets do a really fun thing where you get free curly fries if a Blue Jacket scores in the second period. But
What?
I wanna take a look at this actually. I feel like Sean Corrali scores all of his goals in the second period, so the Blue Jackets have taken to just tweeting Corrali fries
That's
instead of curly fries, which is
fantastic.
extremely good. But yeah, like if there was only going to be one goal in the game, I did not expect
Right.
it to be a Sean Corrali
Yeah.
goal. Dublin,
Yeah.
Ohio native Sean Corrali. It's like Long Beach native Matt Nieto. Yeah,
Right. Or
that's
Thousand
it.
Oaks native Trevor Moore. Um, you know, love that hometown boy. But yeah, you did take one for the team and help advance the cause of
And I
preventing
assume
Vegas.
our sacrifice will be talked about for decades to
It
come.
will. It will, regardless of like who wins the Stanley Cup, there will be like a footnote on it that's like Columbus helped Vegas not get in the playoffs. Just a
That's
little.
the thing. Like the Blue Jackets, I believe, were already eliminated earlier that night
Mhm.
because Montreal got curb stomped by Washington,
Yeah,
which
everyone does.
seems like that's expected, I
Yeah.
think. But the fact that we were eliminated through no fault of our own, I was like, okay, well, at this point, fine. Like I like
Right.
that. Clearly I like the Kings enough to talk about them at
Right.
least once a week. I will allow it. Like if we had to lose to a California team, like I'm okay losing to the Kings. They
Yeah.
did embarrass themselves against the Ducks the very next day, which I will talk about in Locked On Blue Jackets in just a minute, I'm sure. But man, like I've got a bad feeling about this San Jose game that's coming up
Oh. Oh, no. Oh,
tomorrow night.
that's right. You're on the, like, the
We're
circuit.
on the California swing, yeah.
Yeah.
The no longer Death Valley trip, but the Blue Jackets typically have not fared well in California basically ever.
Yeah.
So
And usually it's, like it was, like, always Jeff Carter or, back in the day, Marion Gaborik would be the one who's like, "Game-winning goal." I feel like this is, like, the first time that they've been back since they traded Jeff because COVID season, I mean, that's totally irrelevant to the Blue Jackets' life, but, like
yeah, no. So actually, do you know? So I went to a Blue Jackets Kings game in Los Angeles in I want to say 2017. It was the 2017 California swing, and the Blue Jackets lost in overtime, and the game-winning goal was scored by Alec Martinez. So
that's what he
I was like,
does.
you know what, this feels right. I think that was a 2-1 game as well, actually. That
Probably.
was a really weird road trip. They like shut out the Ducks 4-0, lost it overtime to the Kings on an Alec Martinez goal. And then Scott Hartnell scored against San Jose. It's just a really weird. I think there was a butt goal, which makes sense for Scott Hartnell, but
Right,
like,
that's the thing that happened.
yeah. So the Blue Jackets did not do well
No.
this weekend, and I'm not on Blue Jackets in a minute. We are going to talk about the Ducks game because I guess we probably should. On Locked On Kings, however, we could talk about much more fun things
Yeah.
because the Rain spent a bunch of time beating up on the Gulls, which, you absolutely love to see it. So we're going to talk about that in a minute on Locked On Kings, Locked On Blue Jackets. We're going to talk about how my sons keep disappointing me, and also more of them are dead now. But first, I've got to tell you about a new sponsor, and this is something that I use literally every day. Athletic Greens is it works for everything. I was trying to find a way to describe Athletic Greens, but it is 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. They support gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And now you see why I can't describe exactly what they are, because they kind of are and do a little bit of everything to improve your day, to help you start your day right, and to just kind of make you feel a little bit better, especially, we're getting into April. The summer's coming. I mean, the summer's coming for me. I don't know that the summer is coming where Sarah is in Chicago because I don't know that they're done with winter yet. But you wanna start your day right, and so you should start it with Athletic Greens. It is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, and it is basically it's a multivitamin. And instead of taking a bunch of pills, you can just do 1 scoop of Athletic Greens in a cup of water, and that is everything you need for your day. Right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It is, like I said, just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a bajillion different supplements to look out for your health. And to make it even easier, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1 year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Once again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right. You're listening or watching to grammar. What is it? Anyway, this is
Doing
Locked On Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, joined by Jay Foster, friend of the program, Kings aficionado, sort of, when the mood strikes.
Fair
But
weather Kings fan.
yeah, yeah,
No, that is a lie. I have been a Kings fan. Well, I started being a Kings fan in like 2015-ish, 2015,
yeah. So like,
2016-ish, when it
it's
was
been
bad.
tragic the whole
So,
time. Like, it's just
bad weather
tragic the whole
Kings
way down.
fan?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah, like, it's I feel like anytime I talk about, like, oh, I started covering the Kings back in, like, 2016, so I've seen nothing but
Nothing but
just
pain.
pain, which is why I'm, like, so excited that, knock on wood or air, I guess, like, I might actually get to talk about playoff hockey this year because I don't know what that's like. I was reminded, though, this is like already off topic from what we were supposed to talk about, but Facebook
Shocker.
reminded me, like, right, crazy, right? Facebook reminded me, they have that stupid feature where it's like memories on this day, however many years ago. And it reminded me that 4 years ago, I was in Cabo with some friends, sitting by a pool, reading, writing, having people just hand me drinks. And that was when the Kings made their last playoff appearance 4 years ago, because I was in Cabo drinking while watching them lose. And my friend who I was on the trip with, she's also a Kings fan, and kind of was one of the people who helped like suck me into caring more significantly about the Kings. And she was like, "I'm going to bed. I'm not watching this," which, like,
God.
legit, I don't blame
If
her. And then,
only if
like,
only I
yeah,
could do that.
right. And then, like, she woke up the next morning and I just like shook my head whenever they got swept, like the last game. I was like, no. And there was someone from like Edmonton, like, there, and I had a Kings hat on, and they kept wanting to like talk to me about like my team getting swept. And I was like, "You're an Oilers fan."
If you
I
are not handing me a drink, I am not interested in talking to you.
Right. Like, do you wanna talk about how you're wasting Connor McDavid's life? Because we can talk about that, but I didn't wanna be mean, I just wanted a drink. So, yeah, 4 years, since any last touch of the playoffs, and the Kings spent that playoff scoring, like, 1.5 goals total.
Yeah,
So, just disgusting all around.
yeah. This
But
weekend
one
was, sorry, we could get back on topic soon, I promise.
Oh, that's I
This
mean,
weekend
whatever.
was the anniversary of the sweep
Oh,
for
yes!
Columbus, which
Yes.
again, you absolutely love to see it. The last
Yeah.
time, I guess not the last time they had playoff success because they did do the thing to the Leafs the
Yeah.
next
Oh, that
year,
was also
and
magical.
which was also pretty good. But yeah, it was the anniversary of the 4-0
That's
victory
right.
over the
That
Tampa Bay
was
Lightning, and the
so
iconic
good.
"We know this wasn't the ending you expected, but it's the ending we have" tweet.
Right? Just
So
like, that's just such a magical moment. I feel like, who aside from, like, Lightning fans, who didn't love that that happened?
right, like that's
Like,
what I'm pushing for this year. I want someone. I don't know who's going to be the 8th seed in the Western Conference because it's kind of screwy at the minute.
mhm.
I want someone to sweep Colorado. That's what I want. I don't really have anything against Colorado specifically, but I was talking
No.
to Robin Laiano of
Yeah.
Let's Go Coyotes about like playoffs. Do I root for like do I bandwagon the Kings? Probably, even though it will cause me nothing but pain. Or do I
Yeah.
root for just like maximum chaos, like that year when all of the 8th seeds beat all of the oh, it was all of the 4th seeds, wasn't it? It was the
Oh,
4th seed
yeah.
from every division beat
Yeah.
the first seed from that division, which was just delightful.
Yeah.
But
Right.
speaking of playoffs,
Yeah. Right now, just by the way, the number 8 seed is Nashville, which actually feels plausible that they like I trust that like right now that 1 and 2 wild cards are Dallas and Nashville. I
I
trust
trust Nashville more
Nashville.
than I trust Dallas.
Yes. And then Vegas is like slowly there's such a nice gap between Nashville and Vegas. Like it's
I
growing.
love
I
that.
love it.
I still on the one hand, I want them to miss by a lot because it would make me much less stressed, but on the other hand, can you imagine if it comes down to the last game of the season and they miss by, like, a point? Like, we might get to
It'll
see Jack
be
Eichel cry on the ice.
yes, it'll be who is
Um,
that? Oh, and their last game of the season is against the Blues, which
so
like
it could happen.
it could happen. Like that the rest of their schedule, like we're gonna talk about the rain in the next segment because this is
No, we're talking about Vegas sadness. That's this episode of Mini Cake
um
Monday.
the rest of their schedule. So like I mean also for Kings fans, we need to know who to root for. Unfortunately, tonight we have to pin all of our hopes on the New Jersey Devils.
Womp
So
womp.
RIP us. But the rest of their schedule, they play the Capitals, the Sharks, the Stars, Chicago, and the Blues. So it's like half and half. But like I would love, like it would be the only time in my life that I will root for the St. Louis Blues.
Right?
Like I just
Get it done, St. Louis.
yeah, and I feel like there was that year a couple years ago. It was like I don't know, right after one of the Stanley Cups, like the Kings missed the playoffs by like 1 point. Um, and it was just like I remember feeling that it was, like, kind of devastating and very frustrating because you're like, 1 point, like, look at all those games that we could have gotten 1 point out of, and I want that for Vegas. I
Yeah,
want them to know that feeling.
they should know pain. It's
Yeah,
been, like, 5 years. It's time for them to
right.
know like, true sports fan
Right, right.
sadness.
Like, sadness sure, you're sad when you get, like, knocked out of the playoffs, but, like, you were in the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
you can only be so sad about that.
They went to the final in their first year, like, it's impossible to feel bad about Vegas.
Yeah, no, no,
Like, any
gross.
kind of Vegas-based sadness, honestly, like, I'm over it. My
Yeah, no, thank
tiniest
you.
violin, like,
Right, just
just the
no, thank you.
tiniest violin, a violin the size of TJ Tynan, perhaps.
Yeah, our smallest king.
Did you see that segue? Did you like that segue?
I did, I loved it, I loved it. So TJ Tynan, frequent, topic of conversation here on the aptly named, Mini Kings Monday. First off, he still is leading the league in points. He has 92. We talked, in, last week when we talked with Jason Hernandez from Locked On Ducks, we talked about, kinda like the last time anyone had even hit 100 points in the league, and it's been I think it was like the 2011-12 season or something. It's been a long time, um, because, usually players who are that good don't stay in the AHL. They get caught up, but he has the edge on, Andrew Podorowski. Podorowski has 91 points. He just turned in a 3-assist night, the other day, which, like, I feel like he did just to spite me because I had said that I'm pretty sure that even though Tynan has fewer games left in his schedule, that he's more likely to hit 100 because Tynan just like you blink and he has 4 points in a game, and like Podorowski's more streaky. But
Mm.
this is going to be so fun to watch because it's going to come down like to the wire, I think. But if for that race,
Oh, yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think Chicago should just let TJ Tynan have this. Because Chicago has, like, everything else.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know that they're gonna that I don't know that they'll are they ahead of Stockton at the minute?
they're
Or are
not.
they
They could catch them.
yeah.
Like it would
I
require
couldn't remember
everything
if
to
it
go
was
perfect.
Stockton could catch Chicago or Chicago could catch
Yeah,
Stockton, but, like, they have Stefan Noesen has a bajillion goals
yeah,
this season, like, Andre Podorowski is probably gonna be on the Hurricanes next season, like, let TJ Tynan have this.
yeah.
Um, I was looking this up a while back, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think the last full AHL season, so this would have been the 18-19
Gosh.
season. Leading scorer had like 88 points or something.
Yeah. It's wild.
And he's
And I
already at
think
92, and there's
yeah,
games to play.
so many games left. And I think that he was the MVP last year when he was on Colorado, and has a very high chance of repeating again this season, which I think would make him the first player to repeat as AHL MVP in, like,
Yeah.
some ridiculous amount of time.
It's also like the McDavid argument, I think. Like, Podorowski has Stefanosson and
Mhm. A bunch
whoever
of other
is the
guys.
third
Yeah.
player on that line that
Yeah.
is, like, 5th in league scoring.
Yeah.
You know, like, and in fairness, TJ Tynan has Anderson Dolan and Martin Furk, who have both been very, very good this season, but he doesn't have a Leon Draisaitl
Right.
to his McDavid
Yeah.
necessarily, you know? And I think Podorowski has, like, in Stefan Nosen, he kind of has the Draisaitl to his McDavid or the
Yeah.
Malkin to his Crosby or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
Mostly just TJ Tynan and children.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, like, is, I think, delightful.
yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. I like, yeah, it's my favorite thing. But MVP is such a, and maybe this can kind of be the what we talk about in the next segment ish. Like, MVP is such a weird concept, I think, and such an often misunderstood
Mhm.
concept, because I think a lot of people see MVP as the best player in the
Mhm.
league, and that's not often
Yeah.
the case, you know?
Yeah.
And I think, okay, Connor McDavid was clearly the best player in the league last
Mhm.
season. I think he was also the most valuable player on his
Mhm.
team, and arguably on any team. Like, you could put him on Arizona, and Arizona would probably make the playoffs, you know? Like,
He would score all of their goals.
he would,
It'd be
all of them,
great.
every single goal, but he
Like,
would
Phil
be so
Kessel would
small.
get, like, a
Um,
handful, but, like, yeah,
but, you
McDavid.
know, like, it's such a, and so I'm thinking, you know, is TJ Tynan more valuable to his team than Andrew
Mhm.
Podorowski?
Yeah.
Because I think it's really coming down to those two guys for
Yeah.
league MVP. I don't think any goalies have kind of really been outstanding enough
No.
to get a look in, and there really isn't anyone else in the discussion for forwards. I don't know enough about the AHL to know if there's been any defensemen that have been, like, amazing
Right.
this season, but it really kind of comes down to who is more valuable to their team.
Yeah.
Is it TJ Tynan or is it Andrew Podorowski? And obviously, as someone who covers both of them, maybe you can kind of give a little bit of insight and maybe even an opinion.
I have those sometimes. We will talk about that in our next segment here on Locked On Kings. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about, first off, BetOnline. Maybe you are someone who is sitting here looking at the playoff odds and looking to see, what are the chances that the Kings get in? What are the chances that Vegas misses? And you're feeling super confident. The Kings felt confident enough to send out an email announcing that they're selling playoff tickets, which is a great move. Like, yay, business smarts. But maybe you want to get in on that action because you think the Kings are going to make it. You can go to betonline.net and check it out because it is your number one source for all of your betting stats and sports information. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including information on this year's basketball playoffs and, of course, the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. It's super easy to use. Everything is separated by sport, so you can just click the big NHL button and learn all about the playoff odds this season. So betonline.net, it is where the game starts. And while you're investigating BetOnline, you're sitting in front of your computer, looking at your phone, um, you know, all that math that you're doing in your head, I don't know, it would make me hungry. And so I would pull out a Built Bar to have as a snack. Built Bars are great for you because they are not only delicious, but they're also, like, healthy. They are low in calories, high in protein, high fiber, low sugar, low all of the bad things, high deliciousness. They are covered in 100% real chocolate. They taste like candy bars. We also have the Built Puff, which is a protein-infused marshmallow, which sounds like a wild concept, but they're also super delicious. So go to built.com and scroll down to see all of the great nutrition information and see how it fits into your life. They come in lots of great flavors, including things like mint brownie, coconut, the Locked On favorite, the cinnamon churro, and many more. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you get 15% off your order. That is promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. So how would you define MVP? Like, what is your, because I feel like that's like the start of the like argument / discussion is like, you know, for me, it's like if I take this guy off the team, and I feel like that's always the argument for, Draisaitl and McDavid. If you take one of them off the team, you still got the other one. And
Yeah.
like, sure, Connor McDavid's like the best player on earth, but if you remove him from the Oilers, like, Leon Draisaitl is going to just go like ham and score a bunch of goals. And so like, I think that's kind of the point too that we were making about, Tynan versus Podorowski, or really anyone. Like I would say that like Stefan Nason could also be in the conversation for MVP just because of like you blink and he scores 3 goals just like magically, and like they're legit goals too. They're not like, oops, I just like bounced this off my shin pads. But yeah, like you take Podorowski off of the Wolves, and like you said, they still have that like supporting cast. There's still enough other guys, who can contribute. And yeah, I feel like if you take Tynan off of the Wolf or off of the Reign, he was a Wolf, so that's funny. If you take him off the Reign, like that's a big gap to fill, especially knowing kind of the role that he plays, both like in the room and center depth is always very important. Yeah, sure, you have Martin Ferk who scores goals like at will, but like the fact that most of Tynan's points have come as assists, like you'd be missing that playmaking ability. And I don't know that there's anyone else, like even if you bring back some of the kids in the AHL or in the NHL, like there's not really anyone else who would fill that gap.
Yeah, and that was going to be my argument, because I think Podorowski is more of a playmaker this season, I think, but I don't know if that's just because Stefan Noesen has been scoring a bajillion goals, but yeah, like you say, like Martin Ferk has been really, really good for the Kings. And I don't want to like discredit for the Reign, excuse me. I don't want to discredit anyone on the Reign by saying if you take TJ Tynan off that team, it's a very different team.
Right.
Because I
They're
think
still
the
gonna be
Reign
good.
are legitimately a very good team. This season, it is not, a one man is running this team.
Right. It is not Connor McDavid, Arizona Coyote.
Well, yeah, it's very much like the Igor Shesterkin in New York. He has been my pick for the MVP in the NHL all season long, because without him, that team is just god awful. Like they have Chris Kreider and Zibanejad, who are kind of
also
doing
how
their
is
best.
how is Chris Kreider like? Again, I've totally derailed things, but like he has so many goals. Where did this come from?
I guess when you run the goalie enough times, you
guess.
you eventually learn to put the puck past them at the same time.
Like,
sorry, that was mean to Chris Kreider, who has not run a goalie in a very long time. I'm still just bitter about that time he almost murdered Carey Price. Anyway, my points here. Oh, are we about to go on a Chris Kreider tangent?
No, I just wanted to see how many goals he has. And he has 50. He has more goals than like McDavid, more goals than Ovechkin. Like at one point early in the season, he led the league in goals. I felt like I had stepped into an alternate universe. Okay, anyway, I'm done.
It was weird for a while, but like
I'm done. Go ahead.
if you take Chris Kreider off of the Rangers, I feel like you'd still probably have essentially what this team is.
Yeah.
If you take Shesterkin off the Rangers, it's a very, very, very bad team that also scores a bunch of goals. You know, and so that for me is kind of. Yeah, Austin Matthews is scoring at like a historic pace, and Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid things, and Jonathan Huberdeau have been extremely good for the Florida Panthers. But to me, the MVP of the NHL this season has been Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah,
even with his he had a drop off a couple of weeks ago where he allowed like 12 goals in a week, and it dropped his season save percentage to like a 9.36. It dropped to a 9.36. He has been out of this world good. And for me, I think that's what the MVP is.
Yeah.
And I don't think TJ Tynan is that kind of a difference maker. If you take TJ Tynan off the Reign, just to kind of go back to what my original point was, it's still a pretty good hockey team.
Yeah.
However, I don't think Martin Furk has as good of a season without
Mhm.
TJ Tynan because
Mhm.
if you don't have, and people are like, oh my gosh, he only has 13 goals. I don't know, like, I feel a little bit like I'm being like making up a guy to get mad at right now, but like people get twitchy when people don't score. Like that was
Yeah.
the Alex Wemberg situation
Mhm.
in Columbus for his last couple of years. Like people going crazy because he wasn't scoring. Like Jake Voracek has 4 goals this season and 50 assists. You know, people are like, why isn't he scoring more? Because he's passing the puck to everybody else.
Right.
And you can't, if you could score goals without an assist, there would be no need for assists. It would just say goal scorer,
Mhm.
and then there would be
Mhm.
no other stats, you know. So for me, playmakers are always more deserving of MVP
Mhm.
conversation. I guess like you could flip it and say, well, if you're passing to Milan Lucic,
Right.
just the first
Right.
kind of fourth line guy that popped into my
Right.
head, you know, if you're passing to him, he's probably not going to score all of those goals that
Right.
Austin Matthews is scoring, you know?
Right.
So it is kind of
Yeah, you still
it's
need
like a
skill
chicken
on
and
the
egg
other end. Yeah.
situation, but
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I think, and this might be bias, but it's a Kings podcast, and I don't care.
Yeah.
For me, TJ Tynan is the MVP of this league purely because of, well, not purely because, there's a couple of reasons. Because of the playmaking, you know, it's
Mhm.
a bonkers. He's on pace for, I looked this up just before we started recording. He's on pace to hit 105 points this season. 15 of those are goals.
Yeah.
He's on pace for an 80 assist season. You
Right.
know,
So
bonkers.
many.
Just bonkers good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's, or 90 assists. I could do math. 90 assists and 15 goals makes 105 points.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's it's bonkers good, and the team would be very different without that.
Yeah.
And I also think, you know, it's the playmaking and also that he doesn't necessarily have Stefan Nason. Martin
Yeah.
Furk is very good. Martin Furk
Yeah.
is not Stefan Nason.
No. No. Martin Ferk scores the same goal most of the time, which is
Mm,
great.
love it. 109
Yeah.
mile an hour slap shot.
God,
But
it's so scary.
also,
Yeah.
it's it's a very different duo, I think,
Mhm.
than Podorowski and Nason.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's our campaign for TJ Tynan repeating as league MVP. Um, to look at the Reign real quickly, their past week, they did play 3 games against the Gulls, and I was iffy about this series. Like, they haven't done well against the Gulls this season, it's been very up and down. Um, I was like, you know, these games are crucial for the Reign. Like, the Reign still think they could potentially catch up with Stockton for, you know, Pacific lead. So, you know, kudos to them. Good luck. But these games were crucial for them to like maintain that pace. And Stockton has been losing games. The Reign in their 3 wins over the Gulls outscored them 13-3. So
Which and we cannot derail this again because we're already at 33 minutes of this recording, but maybe for next week. I don't think we've talked enough this season about how good Matt Villalta has been for
mhm.
for the Reign. I keep looking at the Locked On Kings logo at the top of the thing and being like, Kings, Kings,
Yeah,
Kings. No,
no.
Reign.
Yeah. Well, there's your mini Kings Monday preview for next week
Yeah,
is
we're going to talk about goalies. I haven't talked
how
about goalies
good.
on a Mini Kings Monday yet, I
Yeah.
don't think.
Yeah. How good has
Matt
Matty V
Villalta has
been?
been very good
Yeah.
for the Reign.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get into much more detail than
No.
that, but 13-3 is extremely good for
It's
me personally.
yeah. Yeah. They had one shutout, and it was David Rinnick, who was you know, he just finished his college career, signed, you know, his deal with the Kings starts next season. He signed a tryout deal with the Reign to be able to play this season. They threw him in a game and he got a shutout in his first pro game. So I'm excited about that. The Reign, the rest of their schedule, they play 3 times against Colorado and 1 time against Henderson, all on the road. This Colorado series is going to be scary because they have not done like they lost 8-1 to Colorado at the beginning of the month. So we'll see.
It's weird.
Oh,
I feel like
that's
I
a
have
very
spent this
like
entire season thinking that Colorado has not been very good. And then I
I
look and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, actually,
Yeah.
Colorado's
Yeah. Well,
pretty
that's
good.
very, like, Kings reign handshake meme losing to a Colorado
Losing to
team in
Colorado. Yeah.
embarrassing fashion. Yeah.
The Eagles don't
So
have Nate McKinnon, so
right. But we'll see. Maybe they'll win them all. Maybe Stockton will, like, continue to kinda stumble and crazy things will happen. We'll see. So, we'll catch up on all that next week on, Locked on Kings, Mini Kings Monday, where we'll have a greater idea of what the playoff picture is gonna look like for the AHL, and we will talk about all that next week. In the meantime, Jay, where can folks find you online?
you can find me at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER for the podcast folk. For the YouTube folk, it's down here, so you can spell it. Although I think Sarah has put 2 underscores in my name by accident,
Oh man.
which is fine. But yeah, you can find me there. I will be having lots of feelings about the Kings because the Blue Jackets aren't making the playoffs, and so I've got to put all of my playoff feelings somewhere. Like, who else am I going to snort cocaine for and ride a motorcycle out of a plane? Am I allowed to talk about cocaine on
Eh,
Locked On
it's the
podcast?
end of the show, it's
It's out
fine.
there now. It's fine. I cannot encourage supporting the Blue Jackets, but if you would like to, Locked On Blue Jackets is available everywhere you get Locked On Kings. And if you would like to be sad about how all of my children are dead, then come hang out. We'll have fun. We won't. I'll be crying, but
Cool. You can find me on Twitter at Right Said Sarah. The show's on Twitter at Locked on LA Kings. Give us a follow, say hello, cheer against whoever Vegas is playing with us online. The show is, of course, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on the YouTube. And tomorrow we'll be talking about the Ducks game. We'll probably hear from Jason from Locked on Ducks, who has many thoughts and feelings about his team. And we'll get a little preview of what's to come in that game. I hope the Ducks lose catastrophically because that's what I want
we
all the
could
time.
only hope.
Yeah. A girl can dream. We'll see. We'll talk about that tomorrow on Locked on Los Angeles Kings. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends all about it and come back tomorrow for more Locked on Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.